Before I start traveling the world through dance, I feel like there is one place I can start: home, Nigeria. And listen, trying to pick just three Nigerian dances is actually very ridiculous. We have hundreds of ethnic groups, different cultures, and even different music. So I'm not even going to pretend these three represent everything. But I wanted to start with three dances that show three different sides of how Nigeria moves.
Ajegunle we dey Nigeria.
So let's start from home. Welcome to the very first episode of How the World Dances. Basically, I'm traveling around the world through dance without actually buying any plane tickets. But I promise every episode, I'm picking a country and discovering some of its dances, where they came from, the culture around them, the stories behind the movements we are actually watching. And because I'm Nigerian, it only felt right to start here. Now, obviously, being Nigerian does not mean I'm automatically an expert in Nigerian dance culture. Far, far, far from it. I mean, Nigeria is way too culturally diverse for that. I'm a dancer, I'm curious, and I'm going to be learning throughout this series too. So, Nigerians, you people already know your assignment. If I miss something, tell me. If there is context we need, add it. And if your favorite dance isn't here, don't fight me yet. We have three. Three! We will come back to Nigeria. Okay, let's start with Bàtá. Okay, this is Bàtá. And there's something I need you to do when you're watching this dance. Don't only watch the dancer, listen to the drums. Because with Bàtá, the relationship between the dancer and the drummer is part of what actually makes this fascinating. Bàtá is deeply rooted to Yoruba culture, and traditionally, the dance and the Bàtá drum work together. They go hand in hand. When I started researching this was the part that caught my attention. Different drum rhythms can actually direct movement in different parts of a dancer's body: the shoulders, the chest, the waist, the hips, the feet. So the dancer isn't simply performing while somebody happens to be drumming in the background. There is a relationship happening between what you're hearing and what you're seeing. And as a dancer, I love that, because imagine somebody basically talking to your body through rhythm, and your body has to answer. That's a completely different way of thinking about musicality. And also, Bata has a deep cultural and spiritual connection within Yoruba tradition, including associations with Shango. So again, this isn't a situation where I want to look at a cool step online, copy it, and say, okay, guys, I learned Bata. Because without understanding the music and cultural context, I'm missing a huge part of what I'm watching. And this is exactly what I want How the World Dances to be about. Not just, can I copy the step? But why do people move like this? Now, Yoruba people, I need you. What's something about Bata that somebody outside the Yoruba culture probably wouldn't understand just from watching the dance? What if I told you the drum is basically telling this Nigerian dancer how to move? Okay, now we're going east, because this one is completely different. This is Atilogwu. And if you've ever seen a proper Atilogwu performance, you probably understand why people started associating the name with magic. Because these people are not playing. We are talking high kicks, jumps, acrobatics, fast movement, coordination, energy. Basically, all the things that would make me reconsider whether I really need to demonstrate every dance in this series. Atilogwu is associated with Igbo culture, particularly as an energetic youth performance. Is this magic? And honestly, when you actually see some of these acrobatics, I mean, fair question. But there's something interesting about the history here too. Atilogwu isn't simply one completely unchanged dance that we can trace neatly back hundreds of years. History accounts connect its development to different dances and communities in southeastern Nigeria, and it became particularly prominent around the mid 20th century. In fact, there's published writing about Atilogwu dating back to the 1950s. So, once again, we're seeing something I think we're going to find throughout this series. Tradition isn't necessarily frozen. Communities create, styles develop, people combine influences, and eventually something becomes part of the cultural identity and later generations inherit. And with Atilogwu, you really need to see the dancers because describing the acrobatics doesn't do it justice. So, my Igbo people, I need you in the comments. If somebody was seeing Atilogwu for the first time, what should they actually be paying attention to? This Nigerian dance is so acrobatic that its name became associated with one question. Is this magic? Okay, for our last dance, we are coming to Lagos, more specifically Ajegunle. And this is where things get very interesting for me because when we talk about Nigerian dance becoming global today, people immediately think Afrobeats, TikTok, dance challenges, Instagram. But Nigerian street dance culture existed long before any of that. And Galala is a perfect example. Galala became closely associated with Ajegunle in Lagos and exploded into Nigerian popular culture during the 1990s. And if you grew up in Nigeria, you already know there is one name we have to mention here, Daddy Shoki. Artists associated with that Ajegunle scene helped take the sound, attitude, and the movement of the streets into mainstream Nigerian entertainment. And that's what I love about Galala being the last dance in this episode. Because look at the journey we have just taken. We started with Bàtá, where rhythm, movement, and Yoruba cultural tradition are deeply connected. Then Atilogwu with Igbo youth performance, energy, and acrobatics. And now Galala, a dance associated with a very particular urban community in Lagos, moving from the streets into Nigerian popular culture. And that story hasn't stopped because after Galala, Nigeria kept creating Yahuze, Alanta, Shoki. Azonto came from our Ghanaian neighbors, and Nigerians absolutely joined the party. Then we had shaku shaku, sanku, legwork, and it just keeps going. That's why trying to make one video about how Nigeria dances is impossible. This country does not know how to stop creating dance moves. And honestly, I'm not complaining at all. Before TikTok dance challenges, Nigeria already had street dances taking over the country. And one of the biggest came from Ajegunle. Okay, since we're starting this series in my own country, I can't just sit down for the entire video and talk. That would actually be embarrassing. So let me give you something. Okay, that's it. Before people start judging my dance or my leg walk in the comments. So that's Nigeria. Well, three very small pieces of Nigeria. Because if anything became obvious while I was researching this episode, it's that three dances don't even scratch the surface. And that's why I'm actually happy we started here. I'm Nigerian, a cybersecurity consultant by day, and a dancer during weekends. There are still things about Nigerian dance culture that I'm discovering. So imagine what we are going to find when we start traveling around the world. And by traveling, I obviously mean sitting right here and doing research until somebody sponsors the actual plane tickets. But Nigerians, before we leave home, what dance should I cover the next time we come back to Nigeria? And I already know somebody is already typing, how can you talk about Nigerian dances and not mention? I know. We have three. We will come back. But now it's time to leave Nigeria. I think our first stop should be Ghana. So subscribe to Vibe with Dayo if you want to travel around the world through dance with me. This is how the world dances.